Hello everyone. Welcome back to another Commander review for Magic the Gathering. Today we are still in, but almost done with, the Betrayers of Kamigawa set. And we're talking about Shirei, or Shirei. I'm going to say Shirei. Let me know if I'm mispronouncing that in the comments below. Shirei, Shizo's Caretaker, who is a legendary spirit. It's a 2/2 with a mana value of 5, 4 generic, and 1 black. And then it has a very unique triggered ability. Whenever a creature with power 1 or less is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, you may return that card to the battlefield at the beginning of the next end step if Shirei is still on the battlefield. So, real quick, before I get too in-depth, there's no card rulings for this commander. However, that can seem like a lot of text. So just a quick breakdown of this commander. A couple things that you need to be mindful of. It only cares about creatures that are put into your graveyard from the battlefield. So more or less, they are creatures that you control. They have to have a power of 1 or less for this to trigger as well. So tokens will not work with this because tokens will die and go to your graveyard, and then they kind of disappear after that. They are removed from the game, but not exiled. They just don't exist anymore. So tokens don't work. Creatures that have more than 1 power upon dying do not trigger this as well. They need to have 1 power when they are put into the graveyard. So there's a lot of things that you need to be mindful of there. 1 or less power and needs to go into your graveyard, so it's most likely something that you own. It doesn't have to be something that you control, it just has to be something that you own, so that way it goes into your graveyard. Right? So bear that in mind. Then, a delayed trigger is going to be put into play. You may return that card to the battlefield at the beginning of the next end step if Shirei, Shizo's Caretaker, is on the battlefield. So those creatures are in the graveyard with a delayed trigger that's going to come into play at the beginning of the next end step. When that next end step begins, those triggers are put on the stack, and it looks if Shirei is in play. If Shirei is in the battlefield, those creatures will come back. However, if Shirei is not on the battlefield, those creatures will stay in the graveyard. So that is essentially how that works. That's the breakdown. Keep Shirei in play at all times. Play with very weak creatures, and you should be able to build this crazy engine where you are just reanimating your entire board over and over and over again. One of my best friends has a Shirei deck, and it is actually absurd, the value that he can produce with this commander. It's absolutely crazy. I love this card. So, aside from that craziness, this is how the commander works. There are no other card rulings. 1 or less power, and Shirei needs to be on the battlefield, so that way the delayed trigger can bring those creatures back into play. Looking at some of the newer cards that have recently come out, I love Sib-Sig Ceremony, mostly because when the creatures enter, when you cast it, they're immediately destroyed. So if you cast a creature with 1 power, it's going to get immediately blown up. The nice thing is, the creatures cost 2 colorless less, which is really great discount. So you can play your creatures for really cheap cost. They're going to immediately die, which is going to allow Shirei to bring them back into play, which is good if they have death triggers or ETB triggers. And then it also replaces the destroyed creature with a black zombie druid creature token, which is also really cool. So, fantastic card in a Shirei deck. Heartless Summonings is also a potentially good card to put in this deck because it's another one that can reduce the cost of your creatures at the cost of them potentially dying depending on their power and toughness. The deck that I am building around Shirei, unfortunately, is not going to be the most synergistic, but it is going to have a lot of flavor. It is a spirit in itself, so it is going to synergize with a spirit tribal deck. So it's going to go in my spirit and arcane deck, which is mono black. There's not going to be a whole lot of synergies for this commander, unfortunately, but I am going to make sure that whatever synergies are in this deck are going to be really cool or really powerful with this commander. So, Spirit Arcane strategy, but this is more of a filler commander for this archetype. A popular deck idea on EDH Rec, and again, very, very formidable, is, of course, playing this crazy Aristocrat style strategy where you are wanting to play a bunch of creatures with 1 power or less. And generally, you want them to have death triggers or enter triggers, so that way you can really accrue value from them without ever really needing to attack your opponents. And it's absurd the power this deck has, because I've fought against this deck and it can go crazy really fast. And then lastly, what am I looking at here? Oy vey. Oh, yes, I think this would be a fun wall commander for Mono Black. There was a 60 card wall deck, almost like a 60 card stop hitting yourself Mono Black deck that I built once, and it was really, really cool. Conceptually, I really loved it. So this would be a fun deck, I think, to build for walls, because most walls are going to have 0 power, so as long as you can protect your commander, they should be able to return to the battlefield every time to continuously defend for yourself. And since you are building this wall Mono Black Pillow Fort deck, this would also be a fun deck that you could possibly build around for playing with the Initiative or Monarch in Mono Black. But you're playing very defensively and just accruing all this crazy value from Shirei, from the Monarch, from the Initiative, and just constantly defending yourself, building this giant fortification that your opponents can't get through, which I think would be lots of fun. So let me know in the comments below what you think. And that is going to do it for Shirei, Shizo's Caretaker. Really popular commander, and unsurprisingly, you can do some like almost infinite combo craziness with this commander. I mean, depending on the card you put in it, you can do infinite combo shenanigans anyway, but you can do these crazy recurrable Aristocrat synergies with this commander, which again makes it super powerful. Because it only cares about the power of a creature, you can build archetypes that aren't just to spirits or to big mana spells or anything like that. Like, it's such a very niche, unique outlet to build around. So a lot of people have built tons of different deck ideas around this commander. So it is S rank because it is got so many options and a wide variety of deck ideas that you can build with. So go ahead and check this commander out. It is really, really cool. I've loved fighting against it. It is such a fun deck, even though I've lost to it several times. Really, really cool stuff. As a quick reminder, like I've said in the last video, thank you guys so much for your patience. I know right now I'm doing my Let's Plays, and then my Commander review videos are coming out like all one after another instead of on top of each other like I normally do. So I appreciate your guys' patience for these videos coming out. I'm going to get as many of them out as I can, so that way I can comfortably set myself up to then start stacking the videos again like I normally have. Also, with the end of this set just around the corner, I am going to change how I do these videos a little bit, where I'm going to try and make them a little bit shorter. One, so I can record more for you guys, and I can prep more for you guys. Two, it'll make it a little bit easier when I am making the deck lists, which, side tangent, I have now started making deck lists for my videos, so go ahead and start going back through my older videos, and you should start finding links for those deck lists to give you more options of what I'm talking about in each of these videos. But the new videos are gonna change that a little bit, so that's a little bit easier. And I do want to focus more in on what the heart of this series is about, where I want to talk about what the commander is, how it works, and are there any rules for this commander, because that's the whole point of this video, is how does this commander work, how do I play with it efficiently, and then as a bonus I'll give you 1 or 2 deck ideas that you can build off of from this commander. So they are supposed to be nice short videos. I'm hopefully going to get back to that with the change into saviors of Kamigawa. So we'll see what happens there. But thank you guys again so much for your patience. If you have any comments or questions, let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!